Hey everybody, welcome to another one of our awesome tech videos. I am Paige Lippert. I am one of the consumer technology specialists here at Mid-Continent Public Library, and today I'm going to talk about coding resources for kids and teens. I know computer programming or coding has become a huge thing, especially in the last probably 10 years or so, and Kansas City is actually becoming kind of a hub for computer programming and tech. And so this seems like it'd be a really good kind of topic to go with. So with that, what you're going to need. So I'm going to go over a whole bunch of different resources that could be useful. It's not an exhaustive list, so everything I talk about today, there's still probably hundreds of other options out there, but these are some of the ones that I found that they get decent reviews or they're well used or something along those lines. So what you're going to need to access any number of these is a computer or mobile device. I'm going to show you some websites, some library resources, and some mobile apps. The mobile apps, of course, are primarily going to be used on a mobile device, but some of them do have a web version. I'm just focusing on the app for a reason or two. May just be better functionality for the app as opposed to the website, but for the most part, I'm going to be showing you websites. You can access those on your mobile devices just through the browser. You can also do it on computer. You're going to need an internet connection because I am primarily showing you websites and a handful of apps that are going to use internet to do various things. So you will need an internet connection, at least at the very beginning for some of these apps. And then, of course, to access any of the websites. It doesn't matter the flavor of internet connection, so it can be wired, wireless, hotspot, mobile data, coming to use one of the computers at the library. All of those are perfectly acceptable. You will need the ability to download software sometimes. So, of course, that's going to be to download the apps, but some of the other resources may have some software that you can download or that ask you to download a specific software so that you can work with certain code languages. May not be any of the ones I talk about today, but some other ones that you may find may ask you to download, like something like a code editor or some sort of app that allows you to work with different coding languages. And then you will need your library account information for accessing the library resources I'm going to show you, but also if you're going to use any of the computers at our branches, you will need your access pass and PIN, which is your 8-digit birthday. With that, we're going to go take a look at a bunch of resources. So first things first, we are here at the Mid-Continent Public Library's main homepage, our website. So there are a couple of resources that I wanted to show you while I'm here, just to kind of give you an idea of what's out there. And so what I'm going to do, we go to research and learning, and then I'm actually going to go down here. So there's homework help for kids, homework help for teens. Let me go ahead and click on that help for kids, and then I'm going to scroll for a while. So bear with me while I scroll. I was trying to come down here to Scholastic Science Flicks. So we don't actually have a whole bunch of resources that are focused on coding, specifically coding for kids. We do have several resources that are talking about computer programming, but aiming directly at kids is a little different. So I'm going to go in here into Science Flicks. Keep in mind, if you're going in to use some of our library resources like this, you may be asked to log in. It's going to be just typically your library card number. Some of them may have their own login that they ask you to create. You can create those using your library card number or just whatever information. It just varies by resource. So just kind of a heads up there. So this is ScienceFlix. Not maybe a spot that you would think to go find information on computer programming and computer technology. But if I scroll down over here on the right-hand column, there's a Tech, Math, and Engineering. And there actually is a whole little series on coding over here. And this is going to be geared towards the younger kids, not so much the teens, but definitely some of the younger kids. And in here, you're going to find all kinds of information kind of about the concept of coding or computer programming. So it's less so learning how to code and more just what it is, how to maybe go about getting started with it, what people use it for, all kinds of information like that. Learn a little bit about what the different languages are, not necessarily how to write them, but what they are, what they do, what they may be used for, careers in the field. But there are videos, there are little blogs, there's even a little quiz that you can take just to make sure that you are kind of picking up on all of the information that is being put out there. And if you go down here to the dive deeper, it goes into a little bit more information about the different and unique pieces of coding and what it can be used for. So that's one of the things I want to show you. This was kind of a long way to get to it. You can also, since you know the name is Science Flicks, just do the A to Z list and click on S and find it that way. The other thing I wanted to show you, I'm going to click on online learning. Will take me straight here. So there's 2 in here. I'm not going to go into them, but for your older kids, so your teens, Universal Class right here and lynda.com both have a ton of courses and videos to help you with learning specific code languages, but they are geared towards career readiness kind of work. So that is going to be for the older kids. It's not really geared towards elementary or even in some cases middle, but they are there. There's lots of videos. I did just want to point that out as an option. The other option I want to point out is Overdrive. Our ebooks and in some cases e-videos. So I'm going to go ahead and get this loaded in here. But there are tons of ebooks out there that are kind of packed with ideas for how to teach kids how to code, projects for helping kids learn how to code. So we'll do a quick search here and get rid of great courses. Kids coding. Just see what comes up. So there you go. There's all kinds of stuff. And they are specific for kids. So in some cases, it's learning a specific language like JavaScript for kids. Other times, it's going to be kind of game-based, an introduction to programming and what it is, learning how to code. There's a book called Girls Who Code, so some of them are going to be just more fiction-based, so they can be just learn like girls who code, so make girls more comfortable in the tech world, which is still even now kind of pretty male-dominated. But lots and lots of books to choose from. There are ebooks, there are some e-magazines, there are also some audiobooks or e-audiobooks that you can listen to choose from. You can see up here if somebody else hasn't checked out, you're at the wait list, otherwise they are available. But this is a great place to look for ideas for, if nothing else, for getting started learning how to code or helping kids learn how to code. And then the other one is just literally our books. We have lots of physical books in the same kind of idea. So I can just do a quick search for kids coding and see this class is coming up. I'm recording it obviously ahead of time. But if I just click on catalog and give it a moment to load, you'll see that we've got 93 titles that kind of fall under that kids coding. Some of them are going to be ebooks that we just saw. There's a streaming video. As we scroll down, you'll find some other things. There's an article, lots more of those ebooks that we just saw. There's a physical book. So you can come in here and find all kinds of those kind of resources, which is really cool. And then now I'm going to hop away from the library resources and kind of hop into some of the websites out there. So this is Crunchzilla. This is one of the many resources, and they've got a couple of different options. This little part seems really pared down, but that's because you're actually going in to kind of pick your area. So Code Monster is the preteens, the younger kids. Teens and adults is Code Maven. Game Maven is for those who are wanting to do game design, and then data, which is statistics, but also works with data management and that sort of thing in terms of coding and computer programming. But for today's purposes, we'll do Code Monster. And then we get in here, Code Monster is literally a game. It does assume that you have some knowledge. So Code Monster is more for those who are wanting to practice their syntax. So this one is going to be one that's got some people who already know what's going on. It uses JavaScript. So it's asking you to kind of do these sorts of things and play this game and kind of move things around and learn how to play. So this is just one of the sites that you can choose from. All right, this one is appinventor.org. There's also an app inventor that is put out by MIT. This is the one that was originally put out by Google for Android. So this is a kind of loosely code-based app inventor. You can create apps super quickly because it doesn't require any actual coding. It's kind of point and click, as you can see in this little video that's kind of running in the background. You're using the logic for coding instead so much as the actual language. You're using more the logic to develop these games, these app games, or just apps in general that can be put together very quickly and very easily, and kind of learn the basics of how code works without actually having to do the languaging or the language, knowing the individual languages. But a big part of a lot of the different languages is learning this sort of the logic and the how everything kind of comes together, because it works very similarly in a variety of languages. Another game or another site, Stencil. This is another one very similar to App Inventor. Works a lot the same way. You kind of have options here that you get to choose from and start to build these games. You're building games using code and logic, but not necessarily the code itself. But this is geared a little bit more towards some of the older kids, but it's definitely a great start. And then I'm going to go over here. This is Code Combat. So this is one of the like focused on learning sites. They do have some paid content, but the actual like learning how to do some of the coding and computer science and that kind of aspect of it, their core courses or core platforms, because it is game based, are free, and then after you get to a certain point, then it goes into a paid platform. But there is a fairly robust free area that you get to go and kind of play around in, and you learn all kinds of stuff from it. It focuses largely on Python and JavaScript, so there is some actual language use, not just kind of point and click with boxes or buttons. You play through different levels, kind of as an RPG, so a role-playing game. And you're kind of trying to direct a hero around. As you can see over here in this image, you're telling the hero to move right, move down, and then move right again to get to that treasure chest. So you get to do things like that, which is really cool. They do have some work in here for parents as well, so it's not just kids getting in here. So there's educators and parents levels that you can go tinker with as well. And then over here, this is Blockly Games. So Blockly is a Google thing, and it is a part of kind of getting into code and doing stuff. But Blockly Games, that's really hard to say together, is a good way to kind of introduce coding. So again, it's using not necessarily the language itself, but it is using kind of that point and click, working on the logic and moving blocks around, quite literally. So you can learn how to do things. So you can see up here the green one. I already did one, but if I click on this, you can see that this is how it is. So you can kind of help somebody navigate. So you can tell it to move forward, move forward, to turn left or turn right, and then you can run the program. And so it'll just move my little person forward. And it tells you what you did, and then it shows you the actual code languages that would be. So this is JavaScript. That's what it would actually look like. Move forward, move forward. So it's pretty cool. All right, this is another website. This one is called CS Unplugged. It is a .org. This one kind of goes back to what we were doing with the library resources. It is less so computer focused, hence the unplugged. This is more for activities and things to do outside of your computer. It is focused largely on computer science, not necessarily just coding or programming, but it does bring in those ideas, and you learn about that logic. And I know I keep focusing on the logic, but that is a big part of learning how to code, is understanding how that works and how everything kind of do this when, do that then, do this if, otherwise do this. Just kind of learning that part of the logic and how everything kind of fits together. So they are printables. There's topics that you can kind of deal with. For the students, there's the plugging it in. So there's just activities and things in here that students can go through, and some little bots that they can play with. All right, this is Scratch. Scratch is one of the ones that I mentioned early on that does have an app available. I wanted to focus more on the website for this one just because I feel like there's quite a bit here and I have a lot of apps to show you, or at least to mention. But Scratch is here. Scratch was put on by MIT. You can do all kinds of things. So you can do stories, games, animations, little music videos. You can do all kinds of things using their site. If you click on Explore, that will take you into projects that have actually already been created. So you can see the sorts of things that folks are creating using this site. And then you can come into Create. Give it a second to load. And then you can see this is how the creation works. It usually does start you out with kind of some basics in here, but again, it is that kind of block-based learning how to do it, putting it all together without actually learning or needing to work with the actual languages themselves. But it's an excellent starting spot, and you can do some really, really cool things with it. But it lets you kind of play around. You can do the color or do these. You can do, looks, sounds, events. You can make it do all kinds of like crazy cool things. And then there are tutorials. So if this part just seems like a lot, you can go through some of the tutorials, which will help you learn how to kind of navigate the system and create all the different things. It's free. I think all of these that I have brought up today are free, or at least have a pretty decent free level. So like Code Combat does have a cost eventually, but it has a fairly large or fairly robust free tier. And I saved this one for last because there's actually a lot to kind of go with on Codeorg. They are one of the primary resources out there getting kids to code. They do tons and tons and tons of work trying to kind of promote kids learning how to code or program. The big thing that a lot of people may hopefully have heard of is Hour of Code. They are the ones who create the projects for for Hour of Code, which I think is really cool. There are tons of local businesses that then use Hour of Code as part of their initiatives or something. I know VMLYNR recently did an Hour of Code event, probably a couple months ago, I think, at this point, where they invited staff to bring their kids in and work on various projects, and they were all levels, so, and all ages. They were, I think, anywhere from 7 to 13, something like that. So a variety of ages and levels, and they got to work on these different kind of fun, gamified versions of learning how to code. So if you come up here at the top, you can do Learn, and this will literally kind of take you in there. They have course catalogs, and they have it based on kind of grades. So they've got elementary, middle, and then beyond K-12. So that's elementary, middle and high, and then K-12 or outside of K-12. So that could be full-on adults, college students, just anybody trying to learn how to code. So they have stuff that is all ages. Grades grades K through 5 are going to be primarily based on that kind of block-based learning. So they're getting the basics done without actually having to do the actual code itself. And then grades 6 through 12, so that middle and high school starts actually going into some of the languages. So they do focus on more of the popular ones, so JavaScript, Python, CSS, HTML, those sorts of things. If you come down here, you can find information. So the Hour of Code tutorials are open at any point in time. You don't have to go to an event that is doing an Hour of Code, but so you can see what's in here. Minecraft actually is one of the really big things for getting kids to code, because it's block-based. So you can do a lot of things that are Minecrafty. If you're wanting to help teach, they are doing that. They have spots open to kind of help mentor events. This is also a good spot to go find events that are happening around you. But Code.org, it's a great place to get started. They also have some resources in here to kind of find more games and more things like that to kind of help you find what you're looking for that works for you and the kids and whatever levels they are at. So now we're going to look at the apps. So here we are. I have made a slide full of, oops, sorry, a slide full of all of the apps that I kind of wanted to look at today. And I did tell you, Scratch, one of the websites that we looked at, does have an app. It's available for Android and iOS. This first one, Codeable. So all of these are kind of game-based, as opposed to some of the websites that are more kind of learning style, or you get to create. All of these have kind of a game theme to them. Tinker is the one that kind of allows you to do a little bit more of the creation, less so games and challenges. So there's Codeable. These are all free apps, by the way. They may have a paid level to it, but the apps themselves should be free. Codeable is available. It also has a website, but is available on iOS. I believe they're working on an Android app. And then there's Tinker, which is this little T. That is available on iOS and Android, and it also has a website. So if you would prefer to work on the web, that is an option. There is Daisy the Dinosaur, which you kind of do a similar thing as you did with that Code Combat. You get to kind of help her do tasks using code fundamentals. That is on iOS. Cargo Bot, so you're moving cargo around. Not the most exciting premise, but it is kind of a cool idea that you get to kind of move stuff around and direct it around using these code fundamentals. So that is on Android and iOS. CodeSpark Academy, that is one that I do believe has paid tiers to it. But it is great. It has a big kids coding gaming section. It's on Android and iOS. Hopscotch is another one of those kind of learning with games. There's a little bit of creation to it. That one's on iOS. And then CodaKid is fairly new. And they are focused on the learning as well. They have a website, but the website is more focused on kind of helping you find resources to help kids learn how to code. But the app's got some good games and things in it as well. I believe that one is on both Android and iOS. So those are some of the awesome, cool apps that are out there. This, like I said earlier, is not an exhaustive list. There are websites galore. There's tons, and they vary in what they can do. So some of them are all going to be like this block based where you're just moving little things around to almost create this like puzzle looking system that will then do something really, really cool or solve a problem or navigate a character across the screen. There's all kinds of games like that out there that are both websites and apps. There's other resources to help you actually learn the languages themselves. So instead of using block base, learning the fundamentals and the logic, learning the actual language itself, there are those out there as well. Lots and lots and lots of really good resources. So if you don't like some of the ones I brought up today, I encourage you just to hop on the internet, do some searches. You can just do a search for teaching kids to code or something like that, and you will find tons of lists and apps and options out there. So go check it out, see what's there. There's some really great stuff. I think a big kind of fun one close to this picture reminded me, Lego is doing something sort of like that, using Legos and a camera with Mario. So you can kind of play with that as well. So quick review, just because I know I covered a whole bunch of stuff kind of quickly today. So the resources that I talked about today, so library-wise, we have ScienceFlix, which is focused more on the younger kids and just learning kind of what coding is, why we do it, who does it, the careers, that sort of thing. And then we have the ebooks, books, e-audiobooks, in some cases some e-magazines that you can kind of go and check out from either just our basic catalog if they are physical books, or from Overdrive for those electronic resources. But there's all kinds of stuff in there for learning how to code, what it is, learning specific languages, creating activities and games in the home, all kinds of stuff. In terms of websites, there's code.org and all of their various games and creation options. Scratch, if you want to go create all the cool stuff ever. CS Unplugged to find activities and tutorials that are aimed a little bit more for the off-computer world. Blockly for just kind of basic block-based learning the logic and fundamentals. Code Combat is the RPG where you get to use kind of basic code language to move a character around on the screen and through an adventure. App Inventor, for those who are looking to we'll go and create actual apps. One that I left off the list was Stencil. So you can go in there and create apps using that one as well. Codezilla I put on there, but it was Code Monster that was specific for kids, and that was the one that was focused more on those who already know the language, but just want to kind of brush up on skills or work on syntax. And then finally, there were all the apps that I just went through. So Codable Tinker, Daisy the Dinosaur, CargoBot, CodeSpark Academy, Hopscotch, and then CodaKid. So I hope you found some good resources today or learned about one that existed that maybe you didn't before, to encourage the kiddos to learn how to program, to play with those computers, and get out there and not be afraid of learning the cool stuff. So thank you, as always, for joining me and hanging out with me for a little while. If you like this video and you want to watch more, you can check out all of our premiering newest videos on Facebook. Just search for MCPL 360. Our new videos premiere every Tuesday at 2, every Wednesday at 1, and then every Friday at 1. Or you can find us on YouTube. So all of our past videos live on YouTube in a variety of playlists. Just search for MCPL-Mo. You can find us there. We also premiere our videos at the same time as well. So thanks for hanging out. Have a good week.